Hello, I am David Lee. I'm an acupuncturist and a practitioner of constitutional medicine. Today, we'll be going over a patient with sciatica. This is case number 7 that I've treated a while ago, and over time, I figured out what points are best for him. So take this as a process of how I figure out how to do the right treatment for them. Oftentimes, they get better right away. And oftentimes it's a process. So it will take several visits to figure things out, or it may take longer than several visits. With this patient, I primarily used bisoma acupuncture. I used some tetrasoma acupuncture, but the point of this case is displaying the effectiveness of bisoma acupuncture. This patient came in with sciatic pain. He's a male, age 56, a civil engineer. He had left sciatica with burning sensation from the whole leg down to the foot, and it was more or less consistent at the level of 6 to 7 out of 10. Even his low back had burning pain at about the same intensity. He had lumbar surgery to correct the pain 1 year ago, and that somehow did not help. Prior to that, he had 3 epidurals, and they didn't help. And an epidural after the surgery did not help. And he came in with that condition. So before going on with this case, I will go over the horary points with you. The horary points are the element points within the same element meridian. For example, large intestine 1 in metal order, I call it metal order because Jingwell point, the well point, is metal. And then the second point, spring, is water. Third point, stream, is wood. Fourth point, river, is fire. And sea point, Hussey point, is earth. So in the sequential order of metal, water, wood, fire, earth. Large intestine 1 is a metal point because it's the first point, and large intestine is a metal element. So that's why it's a horary point. Same idea with UB66 as water horary, gallbladder 41 as wood horary, and small intestine 5 as fire horary, and stomach 36 as earth horary, earth point on earth element meridian. Now this is the patient. As you could see in the illustration or the images, the photo of this patient's hand and the leg where the needles went into. You see UB66, gallbladder 41, stomach 36, small intestine 5, and large intestine 1. So these points worked out for him, and we will discuss why, how it worked for him. Before that, now we'll need to go over the horary points in wood order. Wood order because although they're yang points, they act like yin points for some patients. Meaning, wood, the first point at the Jingwell point starts with wood. And then stream point is fire. Spring point is fire. Stream point is the third point, is earth. And the fourth point is the river point, metal. And the last one, the fifth point, water point. The Hussey point is the water point. So in the sequential order of wood, fire, earth, metal, water. If you calculate it that way, then gallbladder 44 is the horary wood point. Small intestine 2 is the fire horary. Stomach 43 is earth horary. Large intestine 5 is metal horary. And UB40 is the water horary. That's another set of horary points. Now the 5-element layout becomes different on these transporting points compared to the metal order that is a standard one that we know of in textbooks. All right, so this is how I treated the patient. What I did was I first used tetrasoma acupuncture, that's for constitution acupuncture, rather than bisoma acupuncture. Bisoma acupuncture is 2 constitution acupuncture. And I diagnosed this patient as being a lesser yang and greater yang, meaning this patient is born with deficient water, deficient wood, deficient fire, and excessive earth and excessive metal. In order to counteract what's too much and supplement what's not enough, one chooses these 4 needle technique points, which will be earth point and wood point if you choose large intestine as the focus meridian to treat. So in the metal order, you end up stimulating large intestine 11, LI3, stomach 36, and gallbladder 41. There was no relief. So on the second visit, I gave him wood order, which was the same element points or same elements and same meridian, but the point locations were different. So instead of LI11, LI3, stomach 36, gallbladder 41 as metal order, in wood order, it's large intestine 1, large intestine 3, gallbladder 44, and stomach 43. And it helped out immediately, and the benefit lasted 5 days. Therefore, I repeated the wood horary 4 needle technique on him, and they helped. 1 or 2 months later, he came back because the pain came back. And so I gave him bisoma acupuncture, which is more straightforward. So I gave him straight horary points, gallbladder 44, small intestine 2, stomach 3, large intestine 5, and UB 40. The result of horary is same as 4 needle technique. It just one is easier to use and the other is more involved, trying to figure out their body type diagnosis. The treatment process was this. Within the first couple of months of acupuncture visits 5 years ago, at twice per week, most of the pain had diminished. So he came 5 years ago and I gave him the 4 needle technique first. It improved, and so afterwards he would come back every 2 or 3 months getting 6 to 8 treatments, and that would help him to get better for another month or 2. And that cycle was repeated more or less within the 5-year period. So my conclusion was, okay, this is helpful. At least he's being active on most of the days by getting appropriate number of acupuncture treatments. Sufficient. It's not like he has to get acupuncture every week. He didn't have to get acupuncture after 6 or 8 treatments coming in twice a week, and he was good for a month or 2, or it could have been 3 months. So I accepted this as appropriate number of treatment because he was getting better, and my interpretation was, well, he had a structural issue. He had surgery, which was a physical intervention of changing the structure, and there's no way to reverse it. Or let's say the surgery was successful to a certain extent, but he still had massive arthritis. Well, acupuncture cannot treat the arthritis. Therefore, just management of pain was sufficient enough in this case. And then this had happened. When he came back, sometime at the latter part of the 5th year, I repeated the wood order again, but it stopped being helpful. It wasn't effective anymore. Well, what can I do? I could do different points, I could do local points, I could try different styles. Hey, why not go back to the metal order again? So I did the bihorary or bisoma horary points in metal order, which were Li1, UB66, gallbladder 41, small intestine 5, and stomach 36, the points that I showed you earlier on this patient. And it was immediately helpful. Great. And he got another treatment, and that was also helpful. And that lasted for 20 months. And this patient was highly reactive to acupuncture. Although this patient had a physical problem, structural issue, that cannot be corrected with acupuncture. But he was quite reactive to acupuncture. That's why he responded very well. And only 3 treatments lasted close to 2 years of the relief. And then he came back, and I repeated the medal order by Soma Horari points for 8 treatments. When he came back, he also had right side Achilles tendinitis, but I kept giving him acupuncture on the left side only, and that treated the right foot Achilles tendinitis very well. So he was able to walk better. So he had a left leg problem, a right foot problem, and that was a conundrum for him. But this left side by Soma acupuncture treated both very well, and each treatment was additionally better. So within 8 treatments, the pain was mostly gone. And so the conclusion, I could have 2 conclusions out of this. One is that the beauty of acupuncture is that there are no wrong points. There are no points that aggravate. Maybe there's always an exception, but that's rare. Therefore, it's easier to interpret this as some points are better than other points. And the other conclusion out of this is that 4-needle technique should have worked well for him. Perhaps I did not diagnose him properly. Therefore, the points that addressed him better were related to his other constitution than the constitution that I had identified. So that was a learning experience. So it has to do with constantly observing and seeing what to do. But the good thing about this is that there's no one formula. There's just a simple framework to use. And within that framework, you get it right, or if you don't, then you have a choice within the framework to use that will be very effective for the patient.